And so I get there to the guard shack, and this Korean woman is telling the Marine that's on duty, she says, the black guy did it. When it comes to learning foreign languages, not knowing enough is not the greatest challenge, but instead, not knowing enough to know that you're wrong. Studying Japanese and Korean has definitely proven difficult. And in speaking the language, I've definitely had my fair share of being wrong. Well, I've also had some times where I've been right, and it saved not only me, but those around me. I'm Eric, and welcome to Black Tokyo, first in urban Japan. You know, learning a language can be very difficult. And if you're watching this channel, maybe some of you speak Japanese or Korean, or maybe you're interested in learning English. Have you ever been in a situation when you thought you were right, but you are definitely wrong? Well, here are my stories. This first story comes from when I lived in Osaka. And if you're familiar with the story, I had to change my name to a Japanese name in order to get a contract for an apartment. Legally, that is. So shortly after relocating, I found that I had problems renting an apartment. Well, I had found out that Koreans were changing their names to Japanese names in order to blend into Japanese society, so I decided that I would do the same. And if you want more of this story, you can check the video out here. So anyway, I registered a Japanese name in order to blend in Japanese society. I was able to get my apartment. My bank account was set up in my Japanese name. My medical insurance was set up in my Japanese name. Everything was in my Japanese name. So one day I went to the hospital for my physical. And so I'm in the waiting room, and the receptionist calls, Kuriyama-sama, 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 Kuriyama-sama. And so I walk up to the desk and she looks around me. Kuriyama-sama. And so I look at her and I say, hi, Kuriyama desu kedo. And so she looks at me, she's like, Nihonjin desu ka? Are you Japanese? So I walk over to the scales and, how much do you weigh? And so I told her, hop on the scale, she writes it down. And then she asked me in Japanese, how tall are you? And so, you know, me, fairly confident in my Japanese ability, I answer, and then she looks at me, hi. So she asked me again, how tall are you? And, you know, this time a little bit louder and with more confidence, I tell her, 176 cm, and she starts turning red, and I'm wondering what's going on here. So I hear a couple of chuckles in the waiting room, and I'm thinking, maybe my pronunciation is incorrect, or something else is going on. So then in English she asked me, how tall are you? So this time I responded in English. I said, I'm 176 centimeters. She put her clipboard down, looked, and there's more chuckles in the waiting room. So this old man comes up to me. He's like, hey, shaking his head. I'm like, what are you shaking your head for? And he's doing this, he's going, Shincho. I'm like, okay, Shincho. Shincho? He's like, taller. Well, what am I saying? And so the guy goes, Shincho? Chincho. So basically I was telling the nurse that I had a 5'9" penis. So everyone in the waiting room got a chuckle out of that. To this day, I don't forget the word for height, and I don't forget the word for length for a certain thing. My next story deals with me and learning Korean. So I studied Korean at the Defense Language Institute. I graduated from the basic course and the intermediate course, and I went through advanced Korean training at Yonsei University. Soon after graduation from the Language Institute, I attended interrogation school, and after that I went to my duty station overseas and ended up in Korea. So I found myself on the beach around about 4:30 in the morning with a South Korean underwater demolition team member and a US Navy SEAL. I'm the interpreter. The SEAL started talking about how he had to count waves and, you know, do A, B, and C, and I'm looking at this guy like, what are you talking about? And then the Korean guy is speaking in his dialect for that region, and I had no idea what he was saying. So here we are on the beach, 4 something in the morning, and there's no communication. So I turned to the Navy SEAL and I said, luckily this is training, but you need to dumb it down for me in order to interpret to the Korean. And I turned to the Korean and said, I do not understand your dialect. You need to speak with the Seoul dialect in order for me to interpret what you're saying to the seal. We made it through the exercise. They were able to accomplish their objective. But what did it teach me? It taught me a lot. What it taught me was what I did not know. I ended up putting in for orders going back to the Defense Language Institute for Intermediate Korean. And this time when I went back, I didn't care about certain subject matters that were taught, but I instead focused on what would help me as a tactical interrogator. My favorite teacher was actually a North Korean defector, and I copied his style. I had him teach me words and things, mannerisms that would help me in my job. So ultimately, when I returned to Korea, I had a much better understanding of certain dialects, and I've also picked up the dialect of one of the regions where I worked at most often. So one evening I'm in my tent, and one of the military policemen run in, and he's like, hey, we have a problem at the gate. I'm like, what kind of problem? He's like, I don't know. I don't speak Korean. And the woman at the gate is, screaming something hysterically. Something happened to her. So I get dressed, I grab my weapon, and I told the MP to go get the Navy corpsman. So we all head out to the guard shack. And so I get there to the guard shack, and this Korean woman is telling the Marine that's on duty, she says, the black guy did it. And I'm like, the black guy did what? So I just look at her, and I don't say a word. So then she says in Korean that a black guy sexually assaulted her. And again, I don't say anything. And so I tell one of my MPs to grab a medical officer and the legal officer. So while all of this is going on, there's a Korean guy, off to the side smoking a cigarette, looking and listening. And he's a taxi driver. So I say to the lady in broken Korean, kapshida, kapshida, let's go. And so I jump in the taxi, the front seat of the taxi. She gets in the back seat with the medical officer, and then the corpsman, the military policeman, and the legal officer. They jump in the Humvee, and so we all head down to the military police station that the South Koreans had near our base camp. So while we're in the taxi driver is telling the woman, remember what I told you. So he had told her to say that a black Marine had sexually assaulted her. So we get to the military police station, and we get out, and the two Korean MPs on duty, one corporal and one staff sergeant, and I knew the staff sergeant for years. We actually came up in rank together when I was a young corporal, had just graduated from the basic Korean course. And so they salute, I salute, Pilsung, which means victory in Korean, and I explain what transpired between the taxi driver and the woman. And I remember the taxi driver's eyes just getting as big as the world. We find out that he had sexually assaulted her. And so what he was looking to do was to get money from the US government, based on her claim and everything. But luckily, while I was at the gate, I pretended not to speak and understand Korean, and in the taxi, I didn't say anything. I just listened. And so when I got to the police station, I explained what transpired. He was, of course, freaking out. The two MPs grabbed him, took him to his knees. Master Gunnery Sergeant Kim walked up, slapped the dude in the face. They handcuffed him and took him inside. The woman, she didn't know what to do. She's crying hysterically and everything, and basically, I explained to her what would happen. She gave a statement, and the South Korean military police, they had taken over from there, and the U.S. Marines, we all went back to the base camp. I'm pretty sure many of you have your own interesting stories to share of using Japanese or Korean or any other language. If so, be sure to leave a comment, and if you like this video, got some value out of it, some entertainment, hit that like button. I like the thumbs up. Be sure to subscribe if you haven't done so already, and I will see you in the next episode.